Welcome back to Golf 3 Brex's Winning What's in the Bag, where this week we're taking a look at Justin Thomas's bag from the 2025 RBC Heritage. So congratulations to Justin, big win. Been a little bit, the last win he had was the 2022 PGA Championship. So awesome to see him back in the winner's circle, especially since we've seen him have some struggles with, lately with getting things back on track. But awesome to see him in the winner's circle. Exciting to watch that come down to that, 20-foot putt to keep him going. But yeah, really exciting to see him win. And he is a Titleist staffer, so pretty much everything in the bag is going to be Titleist, or actually everything is. But it's a good mix of some older stuff, some newer stuff, some kind of custom stuff. So it's still interesting. Now we'll start at the top, as we always do, with the driver. And the driver is the brand new Titleist GT2 driver. So this is a 10-degree head, but the hosel, the SureFit hosel, is set to D2. So this is going to take off 0.75 degrees of loft and make the head 1.5 degrees upright. So a little bit lower loft coming in, probably right around 9.25 degrees. Again, those 10-degree heads are really measured out on tour, so it could be slightly something different, but around 9.25 degrees in terms of loft. And then upright, making that head more upright typically makes it a little bit easier to turn over and adds a little bit more draw to the way that head plays. Now, the GT2 is the more stable, kind of higher launching, higher spinning version compared to the GT3, which we see a lot on tour. The 2 and 3 are the most common. The 2 and the 3, though, from address look pretty much identical. It's just the performance, really, of the GT2 and a little bit less adjustability. There's no, plate on the bottom where you can actually adjust the weight to make the head more draw or fade bias. So GT2 head, and then the shaft is actually a little bit of a mystery. It's a Mitsubishi Diamana prototype. We don't know much about it. The little bit I've gained, I reached out to some people. Nobody is either knows or is willing to tell me. I did get one that was just a smiley face, a text that was just a smiley face with the zipper over the mouth. But from what I can get, it is a Diamana blue board profile. So based off the blue board, kind of a prototype, a little bit different version. No one will tell me what is different about it. Nobody's telling me what weight or anything like that. The shaft, when our guys were out there on tour and took a photo of it this week, all black, no markings, nothing. So it is a blue board profile. We just don't know what's different about it. So my guess would be it may be kind of like a Diamana GT replacement. Maybe it's something where it's, kind of mid-launch but lower spin than the traditional blue board. But that is just my speculation. No idea what it actually is in that head. So we move on to 3-wood, and 3-wood is something a little bit older. He is playing the Titleist TS3. So yes, this is the one that came out in 2018. He's playing the 15-degree head for a 3-wood, and the SureFit hosel is set to A1. So that's standard 15 degrees aloft, standard lie. But yes, this is the head that came out in 2018. It's a little bit smaller. There was a TS2 that was a little bit bigger, a little shallower face. And this one's a smaller head, a little bit more compact, and has that SureFit CG weight in it, that actually in the sole, you can change out the weight. It would actually slide into the head, and it was actually used a little bit to change where the sweet spot was. You can kind of shift the sweet spot a little bit towards the heel or towards the toe with that weight. Now, the shaft on this one is the Mitsubishi Tensei AV Raw Blue 85TX. Now, the AV Raw Blue kind of lived a shorter lifespan than some of the other Tensei models. It had an aluminum vapor carbon handle that gave it some stiffness, made it very stable up near the handle section. It was still a mid-launch, kind of mid-low spin shaft, a little bit stouter feel to it compared to some of the other Tensei Blue profiles that have come out in the past or more recently. Comes in at 86 grams and 2.6 degrees of torque. And move on to his 5-wood, and his 5-wood is even older. This is the Titleist 915 FD. So yes, this came out in 2014, but I remember the 915 fairways were absolutely spectacular. This is the 5-wood head, which is 18 degrees, but his is on the SureFit setting to B3. So this adds 1.5 degrees of loft, and it makes it 0.75 degrees more upright. So playing at about 19.5 degrees and making it a little bit more upright again, putting a little bit more draw on that head. But yes, very compact, lower spinning than the 915F that came out at the same time. Now this is shafted up with an old school, one of my favorites, the Fujikura Motore Speeder VC 9.2 in X. Now the 9.2 was a little bit too heavy for me, but I love the 6.2. I thought it was such a great shaft. This is the one, as you can see from the photos, red handle section, fades into white. All the kind of tour spec stuff kind of did that. But this is a low launch and low spin shaft from Fujikura. about 96 grams and 2.4 degrees of torque. The VC line had a ton of profiles, but that 9.2, or those 0.2 models as they called them, were the low launch, low spin, stiffer feel, definitely more stable shafts for those higher swing speed players. We move to his irons, and his irons he's playing kind of a decent combo set, kind of playing 3 different sets of irons there. In the 4-iron, he's playing the Titleist T200. So the hollow body design, multi-piece, built for a little bit more distance and a little bit higher flight. So this one here in the 4-iron is going to offer him the ability to land something probably a little bit softer, and also having something higher speed in the face could be the gapping that he needs to go from his 5-iron into 4-iron and make sure that he's covering all those gaps. It's shafted up with a True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X100, which of course we know, kind of slightly lower launch, lower spin, seems to be in almost everyone's bag there. Now the 5-iron in his set, he actually moves to the Titleist T100. So kind of a slightly multi-piece forged design, one of the most popular players' irons out on tour. It's got dual tungsten weights in the toe and the heel, add some stability to it while still being really compact, thin top line, but add some forgiveness and stability at that top end. Also going to be probably fly just a little bit faster or a little bit further due to maybe some slightly more ball speed, maybe a little bit lower spin compared to his blades that come through the rest of the set. Now this one here is also shafted with a True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X100. It's just kind of like the gold standard out there on tour. It seems like majority of players have some of these in the bag through their irons. Now the rest of his set is a custom 1 of 1. These are the Titleist 621 JTs. So yes, JT, Justin Thomas, he's playing 6 through 9 in these. These are a custom blade that were built for him. He started this process a few years ago, I think around 2019. We kind of saw him testing in the bag. But these are basically 0 offset version of the 620 MB. So they basically pressed all the offset out of it. I guess his previous sets, they would take the blades, they would bend the offset out of them. And instead of just doing that, they decided, let's just make a set for him that already had that built in. So basically from the hosel into the leading edge, no offset to them. And they are the exact same, basically profile, same groove, same sole design, all that as the 620 MB. I guess he had a hand in designing that 620 MB anyway. So this is just a basically 0 offset version of that club. So still forged out of 1020 carbon steel, all that as the 620, just different offset. So these are also shafted up as you would expect with the True Temper Dynamic Gold X100s. So 130 grams, kind of lower launching, lower spinning shafts. Again, probably something he's played since his high school days and just comfortable with them, and they stick with him. Now we move to wedges, and wedges are the Titleist Vokey SM10s. As you can see on all these photos, you'll see there's a little thing that says radar on all of them. This was kind of a little bit of a name given to him, I guess, back in his college days when he was at Alabama. He would go out to Titleist and test with those guys, give feedback, and I guess he would just like literally just hone in on pins, pepper the pins, and somebody said it's kind of like radar out there, just going right after the pins. So that is where the radar name on the wedges comes from. The first wedge is going to be his pitching wedge replacement, which is the 46.10 F grind. This is bent 1.5 degrees weak, so it's playing a 47.5. But the 10, and then it also adds about a 1.5 degrees of bounce, so it's really kind of playing like a 47.5 dot 11.5 F grind. But the F grind, as we talk about a lot, we see these a lot on tour. I feel like, you know, as I mentioned before, much more F and S grinds, much more fuller, wider soles, and I think it's just due to turf interaction. You know, it digs a little bit less. You can kind of throw it into the turf on some pitch shots without it digging or catching. But a really sole great for playing shots that you're playing the wedge square to the target. Now this one's shafted up with a True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X100 to match the iron set, give a similar feel, similar launch, similar flight window, all those things compared to his irons, and just make it kind of flow through the set. The next wedge in his bag is going to be the 52 degree, his gap wedge. It is a 52.12 F grind, and this is bent to 52.5, so 0.5 degree weak. But the 12 is the higher bounce version of the F grind in the 52. So the 50 and 52, they make, I think it's an 8 degree and a 12 degree. So either a standard bounce or a high bounce is the high bounce version. I personally like this one as well. Doesn't dig as much, gets through the turf pretty quickly, especially in soft conditions. Just offers some really good turf interaction there. And again, I'll be playing as kind of a 12.5 degree F grind there. So added just even a little bit more bounce with bending it weak. The next wedge is going to be sand wedge, and this is going to be a 56.14F. It's actually the same wedge I play, but no, but the 56.14F. So higher bounce there, great for turf interaction on full shots, softer conditions, or playing this wedge out of the bunker. A lot of bounce there, allows you to kind of open the face, get a lot of float through the trap. But you don't have to worry about this thing digging in pretty much any condition, or if you're really, really steep. This one is actually bent to 57, so 1 degree weak, so it's really playing like a 57.15F. But this one here should really, like I said, any condition there, have a zero digging whatsoever. Now, his lob wedge, he messes around with a couple, and he kind of changes up depending on the course conditions. I know when we actually got the photos from the Heritage, he actually had a K-Star grind, an A+ grind, and he went with the 60.04T grind as the gamer for the event. But carries around a couple different wedges depending on the conditions. The T grind is, of course, one that we mention all the time. It's a low bounce wedge that's got a ton of trailing edge heel and toe relief. Allows the player to really open the wedge up without that leading edge coming off the ground too much. Can play it off tight lies. And if you play it square, it does play like it has a little bit more than 4 degrees of bounce, but a really versatile wedge, allowing players like Justin to really kind of open the face and play different shots around the green, and without having any kind of restrictions or anything like that. It is bent to 60.5 degrees, so half a degree weak. So again, you would play like an 04.5. So anytime you bend something weak, it adds the same amount of the same degree to the bounce number. So 04T, extremely popular on tour. I know we've seen a ton of them throughout doing these What's in the Bag videos, but yeah, he is playing the same one, but he will change it up depending on the tournament. Now the 3, the 52, the 56, and the 60, all shafted up with True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue S400 shafts. Again, one of these ones we talk about every week, it seems. Basically a little bit heavier, but slightly softer than the X100. So X100 comes in at 130 grams. The True Issue S400 comes in at about 132 grams. A little bit softer for those partial shots. You get a little bit more feel. Won't be quite as stiff. And yeah, just one of a really, really popular wedge shaft out on tour. Now moving to putter, and putter, he's playing the Scotty Cameron T5 prototype, or the Phantom 5 prototype. It looks a lot like the Phantom 5 we get at retail. His is built kind of strictly for him out on tour. As you can see, the middle of the sole kind of looks like it's ground down. And I know in kind of an interview that he said something about this putter like sitting really well to the dress and helps him align. I'm wondering if they had to like grind the middle of the sole down a little bit or whatever for the thing to sit just perfectly square, or however to his eye. That helps him align it, but it looks like that center has been ground down to make that sole sit a certain way on the turf. The face is definitely unique as well. It looks to be completely smooth. I know we've seen different depths of milling. Typically, the deeper the milling, the softer the feel, softer the sound. This one is pretty much smooth, which means it probably is going to give a little bit firmer feel, but it's going to give a lot more feedback. Like, if you catch it a little bit low or a little bit high in the face, or a little bit off the toe, it's going to give that feedback in terms of an audible sound as well as some vibration to the hands. You're going to feel that. So a lot of players go with that shallower milling, or no milling in this case, to get that feedback that they want for their putting. Now, this one's shafted up with a SuperStroke Zenergy Pistol Tour. So this is the smallest version of the pistol grip that SuperStroke offers. And if you can see on there, it's also got his little JT logo up near the handle section that they did kind of custom for him. For ball, he is playing the Titleist Pro V1x. So this is going to be the slightly higher launching, higher spinning model compared to the Pro V1. It's also got a little bit firmer feel to it. So players who kind of, again, like a little bit more sound or anything like that with their short game, they're going to get that out of the Pro V1x. For grips on all his clubs, other than putter, he is playing the Golf Pride Tour Velvet cord. So this is a Tour Velvet style grip, but they have a brushed cotton cord that runs through the whole thing. Cord grips are typically a little bit firmer, a little bit rougher on their hands, but they are great for moisture management. If you play in conditions where you either sweat a ton, it's hot and humid, or somewhere where it may rain a decent amount or anything like that, cord grips are great for all-weather traction. So that is Justin Thomas's What's in the Bag from his win at the 2025 RBC Heritage. Again, congratulations to him. Awesome win. Great to see him back in the winner's circle. Hopefully we'll see it more this year as well. And yeah, check back next week where we'll go through the next winner's What's in the Bag.